Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. If you're a new listener, welcome. If you're a veteran, welcome back. Today, we are going to talk about obedience. So, Hans, what's up with obedience? What, can you fill us in about obedience?
Yeah, what is obedience?
In this interesting world
What do you think it's obedience?
Well, yeah, that's...
well, tell me. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I know.
So
I know, but
you don't know, right?
No, I know, but
yeah, what is it?
Well, the dog should be working for you and with you. That's, I mean, in sort of.
Okay,
That's the general.
Start. Well, but
Hansism, if I can call it that, or I don't know.
Well, you need to understand there are different purposes of obedience, right? Yeah. So like, one of the purposes is to teach the dog to sit down, stay, come, heel. You know, the 10 basic commands.
Yeah.
And but that if you refine your purpose of the training for the obedience just to teach them the commands itself, you're just doing circus tricks.
Yeah.
Right.
No, that's exactly.
Right.
I'm not doing it for fun and giggles. For me personally,
right. So what other purposes are there?
Well, I mean, I don't want the dog to, chase the cat so it'll get hit by the car. There's obedience of coming.
Well, obedience is here for number one, to build a relationship between you and the dog, meaning you're the leader and he's a follower. Dogs are pack-oriented animals, and they have to have a leader, and if they don't have a leader, they'll turn into one. Now, if your dog turns into a leader, then you're screwed, which is like 90% of all dog owners, their dog is leader, and and people think, well, I'm the leader. No, what you think doesn't matter. What matters is what the dog thinks. Right?
Wasn't it the number one thing, almost number one thing, that when you went out to people's homes for behavior modification, that was like the main...
Yeah, you need to be a leader in order to solve any behavioral modification, basically. Yeah. Right? That's it. and so there are two basic different purposes, different types of obedience. One is in drive and one is out of drive, right? So the in drive obedience, you teach the dog to listen to you on first command in any situation, and the dog listens because he has to, number one, and number two, because he likes to, because he gets rewarded when he does. But you got to go in that order, okay? As I just said, right? And so, people who tell you if you go like somewhere to train dogs, they're going to do it because they're happy. They'll be happy. The dog has to be happy to do obedience. Well, if the dog is happy, then you're teaching the dog to work for itself. It's usually done in drive. That's the other way, right? And that's when the dog works for treats or toys. Right? And when the dog works for treats or toys, then the dog works for itself, and you don't matter. You're just a pass dispenser of rewards, right? Dog, you say sit, and dog want a cookie, so he sits, right?
Yeah.
You don't matter, right? It's just dog does it for the cookie, or for the.
And people think it's because you
right,
said
but the
so.
problem is with that is that. Yeah. If some higher value, because the dog works for itself, if there's some kind of a higher value reward happening, like chasing cat is really great value for the dog.
Yeah, it's great. I know that from my dog.
Right, So if the dog chases, so then your cookie doesn't matter. You can have the best tasting sausage in your hand, and the dog sees a cat, and it don't matter, right? Yeah. But if the dog is trained out of drive, right? Then he does it because he has to, because you're in leadership position. So you tell the dog you got to do it, and if they like it or not, they do it, okay? Because that's how they trained.
Yeah.
Like yesterday, I was up in Big Bug Mesa again. And I was walking, I don't feel very good, but I was walking up there with Sarko, and Sarko discovered mama turkey with a bunch of little baby turkeys, right?
Yeah.
And, and they were very upset, and and he started chasing them. And I said, Sarko, fui, come. And he came immediately to me, right?
Yeah.
Why? Because he knows he has to. Number one, because he has to.
Yeah.
You know, so not the likes to doesn't matter in that situation, because he likes to chase those little turkeys much more than he likes to come. But he comes because I told him he has to. There's just no other option.
Yeah.
Right? And for that, for example, we do the obstacle course, right?
Yeah.
We're putting the dogs through obstacle course, which they hate,
but
we make them do it. Why? And that teaches it, because it teaches the dog to do things they don't like to do just because we said so. Because when you are in critical situation, okay, like dog is going to chase a cat through the busy street and get hit by a car.
Yeah.
You need to be able to stop it. And the reason why the dog's he likes to chase that cat more, but he's going to get killed by the car, right? Yeah. So I teach the dog that there is never a second option. When I say it, you have to do it. That's why when I train obedience in out of drive, the dog, I don't give him second chance. I just say the command once, right? Like Fifi down, right?
Yeah.
And if the dog doesn't do it, I say no and correct it on the leash. And then when he does it, I say good boy and pet it. And the petting, as we talked a million times about, induces oxytocin. Dog likes it, and you know.
Yeah, we have a podcast on
right.
that.
Yeah, we did podcast on that.
Yeah.
So it's very strong reward. You know, much stronger than cookie or playing with toy.
Yeah.
Okay. So the purpose of the obedience for everyday life, and I sell that obedience, you know, on my Alpine K9 reel. There's obedience for sale, which teaches the dog to be trained out of drive. And that type of obedience help us to train the dog. Teach the dog that we are in leadership position, right? We have a podcast on the importance or misunderstanding of out of drive obedience.
Yes, we do have it. It's already published.
Yeah, that's
misunderstanding.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
So that kind of comes together with this, but you know, I want to emphasize with this video how important it is. Now, and people say, well, so what is in-drive obedience for? In-drive obedience is when we reward the dog with toy or treats. So the dog works for itself. But if we train the dog first out of drive, we establish default that we are in leadership position and the dog has to do what we say regardless if they like it or not, right? And only then I can teach the dog in drive, because now I'm in leadership position. Now we can do in drive. There's nothing wrong with teaching in drive, but you gotta make sure you first do out of drive,
because of that default.
right?
No.
Right. You know, and going back to the obstacle, I kind of touched on it.
Yeah.
The obstacles I'm using are just milk crates,
Yeah.
you know,
We'll put up
or ladders and stuff. Do you have any pictures of
I
it?
have. I have that. We'll
All right,
put it
so
up.
okay.
Yeah.
You know, I make the dog climb a step ladder, and from the step ladder jump on a barrel, you know, and go
the
through.
The first time they just hate it. They like you just
go through the milk crates and stuff. But you know what? I put like 2 or 3 rows of milk crates on the ground, and some of them are right side up, and some of them are upside down.
Yeah.
And dog hate to walk through it, you know, and they think their life is ending. But I force them. I walk like a D9 bulldozer, and I don't stop while I'm healing them over these obstacles, and they just gotta deal with it, and they just gotta follow me.
Yeah.
And the dog is doing it because I make them physically and mentally force them to do it.
Yeah.
it's not like teaching the dogs to get used to it and be comfortable with it. Once the dog gets comfortable with these type of obstacles, the obstacle is useless for this purpose.
Yeah, they learn.
All right. So then I need to rearrange the obstacles, different configuration, and all that. So it makes the dog uncomfortable. In other words, what I used to do. There's a sheep's bridge.
I've never been out there, but I've seen.
Yeah, and it's like really high, and it's like planks, and you can see like 500 or 600 feet down through the planks, and I make obedience with the dogs on top of it.
Yeah.
Right. I have a picture of it with my friend who came visit from Czechoslovakia, so I think I can dig it out.
Yeah.
And so in other words, I do obedience. I used to do even protection there on that bridge. It's a narrow bridge. The bridge is about as wide as this table, right? And it's high up there, and we did protection on top of it. And the dog like, wow, you still got to protect. Just go for it.
Yeah.
And you're forcing the dogs to be dealing with the stress of and do it.
Yeah.
Even so it's taught, right? So what's important? Number one, let's recap it. Number one, obedience out of drive. Establish leadership position, teach the dog to do the respond on first command in any situation. Number one, because the dog has to, and number two, because he likes to, in that order, right? That's. And then we can do in drive for competition, for demos, the dog look pretty and all that, but it's useless in critical situations. People say, well, you condition the dog, okay? I just read a pretty interesting post from a guy I don't really like much, but I read it. And he says, well, you condition the dog, and I teach that too, you condition the dog over and over and over so the behavior become automatic.
Yeah.
But if the dog is not trained to respond to, even so they don't like to, even so the dog is conditioned, sometimes the conditioning gets penetrated by the situation the dog is in. In other words, the conditioning doesn't come into picture. Right? Let's say I say sit and dog sits, or I say come and dog comes, and I do it hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And then when the dog hears come, he comes automatically, doesn't even think about it. Unless something big happened, like cat. I like to use that example of cat because it's very illustrative.
Yeah.
So the dog sees the cat, so the conditioning is going to get pushed aside. Right? And the dog penetrates the conditioning by chasing the cat.
Yeah.
Right, so the conditioning by itself is not enough. Conditioning is good, but I would not rely strictly on that. And remember, we did that podcast where that woman, the dog chased deer, and she called it. Remember that video? And then I was talking about Sarko chasing deer, and I called him. Right, and they came. But then I had a dog before who was number 7 dog in the world, in Europe, basically. The best dog, and he was superbly conditioned. And when he saw a deer, I mean, he actually wasn't deer; it was javelina. He run. He saw the javelina, took after. I said, buddy, fooey, come, and he stopped because he was conditioned to come. And he kind of looked over his shoulder at me, and then he looked at the javelina, and then he flipped me a finger. And went for the javelinas.
For what, 2 hours or something?
Yeah, I was sitting there.
But you didn't see it, just he took off.
Right. So you see, there is a good example of the dog
overriding
conditioning being penetrated by the drive of prey drive, in this case of chasing animals.
Yeah,
and it's coming from survival, right? If imagine you have a wolf or some predator conditioned to do certain things, but now he has opportunity to chase animal, kill it, and eat it. That's a matter of survival. That overrides everything else, right? So you really need to combine this conditioning with also conditioning the dog to just do whatever you tell him to do, even so he doesn't like it. That doesn't like it, but must do it, overrides, if you're lucky and if you do it right and long enough and consistently enough, will override that chasing reflex. That's your best bet.
Yeah.
That's why. So the obedience could be teaching the dogs tricks. Sit down, stay, come here, mindlessly, just like whatever, right? And then establishing bonding, establishing leadership position, and teaching the dog to do whatever they need to do because I said so, because they work for me and with me.
Yeah.
And then we have the other type of obedience, which is very popular.
So I was gonna.
And that's the in-drive, because the dogs look so good, and everybody will have a dog like that. But that training is not reliable for everyday life. And that's why I made that video, which people can purchase. It's not that expensive. About the everyday, what is it called? No-nonsense dog training.
No-nonsense obedience?
Yeah, no-nonsense obedience, for everyday life, whatever.
That's actually probably the most popular video that you have as far as people purchasing it, because I think that's where people struggle with.
And I want to say one thing about all of this, right? And that was really the original reason why I tried to do this, okay? You can...
If you enjoyed this content so far, please subscribe to our channel. Also, Hans has a podcast channel called Dog Training for Life. Check that out so you can listen to the audio version.
You can train the dog yourself. You don't need a trainer and spend thousands of dollars and send the dog somewhere in some kennel where they kick him in the head and you don't even know about it. And all that. You need to participate in the training yourself with the dog, okay? And this video, which I just created, you can and should do the training alone. You don't need trainer. You just gotta watch that video really well. And if you have a problem, you can you can record yourself and send it to me. Download it on YouTube and send me the link. I look at it and I see if you're doing something wrong, I'll tell you. We can do it over the Facebook messages. And so you pay 99 or whatever bucks cost the video, or you can pay thousands of dollars for dog training. Right? And that's why this. I didn't have a trainer who told me how to do it. I learned it from books. Okay, to train dogs like this. And I perfected it through decades. Of training. So you can save yourself a lot of money. And you are doing it right. Why are you doing it right? Because you are doing it with your dog. Nobody can establish leadership position for you with your dog. You gotta do it yourself while you're working with the dog. Now, if you want to go and work with some trainer, that's fine. But don't send the dog somewhere. Again, we have a video on this podcast on the boot camp style training, right?
There is. If you guys,
which I don't recommend.
Exactly. You were talking about the optimal way of training a dog.
Right. So, but as I said, you can do all this training yourself. If you purchase this video, and it goes command per session per week. Right, and you need to work the dog 2 to 5 minutes twice a day. Or 25 repetitions, each command, whatever comes first, and just follow the instructions. And watch the class, the chapter for the particular
in that order,
command.
Because somebody asked a question about that, right?
Oh you gotta watch. You gotta train it in that specific order as I'm presenting it in that video. So
there's a reason why it's in that order.
So
okay. I mean, that's a deep subject, but this is kind of sort of an overarching view.
Right. So basically, the purpose of this podcast mainly is that you can train the dog yourself. Right. That's what I want to say. We talked about the other things, other places. But this particular podcast is, you can do it yourself on your own. The biggest problem is to have the discipline to get out there. I always say, the hardest thing on the dog training is this. right? Lift
Get
the
up.
ass 2 inches
Get up.
above the chair and say, okay, I'm going to go
Get
train
up.
the dog.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part of the dog training. After that, it's easy.
Yeah. And there's a major difference when somebody actually spends time training their own dog versus not. I mean, you can clearly see.
Right.
You can see that. I mean,
Right,
there's no mistake.
But that's why, when I used to train dogs, I used to come to people's home and I told them what to do for a week. And then they hopefully were practicing it 2 to 5 minutes twice a day or 25 repetitions.
Yeah.
And then I came next week and I immediately
So-
knew they didn't touch the dog.
You saw what. Yeah.
I said, you don't touch the dog. Oh, yeah,
Why not?
you don't even remember the command. Don't
There's
tell
no
me.
way. But it's
So the discipline is
that's
the,
true in many things.
is the most
too.
important ingredients.
Yeah.
Of the
And we all know this.
Yeah.
Like most of us know this, right?
Right.
It's being disciplined in anything to be better at our job or whatever we do. Our craft.
Yeah, you gotta keep at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just lift that ass.
Just do it. It's
2
it's
inches.
a Nike.
Yeah, just
it's such
do
a
it,
brilliant thing, right? Just do it.
Yeah. That's exactly right. Except, Nike.
Focus, Hans. Focus.
I'll get on into politics.
Focus.
Yeah, but it's true.
Okay.
But it's true.
But it's true.
Grasshopper.
Anything you want to add to this, Hans? Just
No,
kinda-
just yeah, I do. Just buy the damn video.
You know, we don't like to hide.
I don't want to be pushy.
There's someone that made a comment. I'm sure that person is listening right now, but they said like, one of my favorite parts of the podcast is when you say,
I read that
"Okay,
too.
we're kind of done," and just like another 10 minutes.
Took another half an hour.
Another 10 minutes.
Yeah, I know it's true.
Yeah. But,
All right, that's it then. Okay,
really-
I'm done now.
Okay, it is really. If you're interested in purchasing any videos, and specifically, obviously, we talked about the obedience video, make sure you visit Alpine Canine Real, like realistic.com. It's the information is down below this video, and all the
Yeah,
videos.
it's in the right bottom corner. The
Right bottom
fluorescent
corner.
green.
Yeah, you can see it there, here, there, and below the video itself, where you're watching it it's
Yeah,
on
on the
YouTube.
beginning and the end of it.
Yeah, so it's there.
So it's all over the place.
It's all-
And then
you can't
people
miss
still
it.
call me and says, well, how do I go?
do you-
I didn't know you have. Oh, my God. All right. So, guys, it's all in there. It's like in
Just
Prego,
read. Read.
Do you remember that commercial for Prego?
Prego? Was it
Is there basil in it? Yeah, it's in there.
Oh,
You
it's-
know, remember that commercial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where's kind of like where's the
It's
beef?
all in there, like in Prego.
There was the where's the beef? Remember the where's
Yeah,
the beef?
yeah. So yeah, it's and you know what surprises me when people, you say, I saw your YouTube video. I say, I did the podcast, and I say, there's about 70 or 80 of them already out there, right?
Yeah.
And I say, I didn't know that. Every video it directs you to the list to the website where the list of the YouTube videos is mentioned. So if you enjoy this, guys, there it is.
Yeah.
And I appreciate if you go watch it and recommend me. What do you call it? Subscribe and
Share,
subscribe.
Yeah, please share, subscribe, all those things.
Sharing is more important.
Sharing is caring.
That's different thing.
If you're looking for a puppy or a trained adult, Hans is your man. These dogs come in from the Czech Republic. They're not here in America. Depends where you're.
Only one
listening.
Czech puppy, they gotta come from Czech, not from Nebraska.
Yeah, it's not on the. Yeah, so these dogs are.
People say, I'm selling Czech puppies. I said, where are you at?
Yeah.
Is it North Dakota?
Yeah.
Those are North Dakota dogs, man. They don't.
Yeah.
Just because you have two dogs from Czech doesn't mean you're producing the same
Yeah.
thing, because you gotta match them together. Unless we match them for you. Sometimes we sell parents and we match them, make sure that you will produce a good quality.
Yeah, that's a different thing, but yeah.
Yeah, that's the exception for that here in America.
We actually, Hans did an episode on what's up with Czech dogs. Or something
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
what's
So
up?
go back to that. That's a real good explanation about what the history of the Czech German Shepherds, and again, if it's not from the Czech Republic, and specifically from Junipo kennels, because just watch Hans's story. He talks about Yidi and just the whole We should be doing we'll probably do other episodes on that just to remind people
Right.
what these dogs are all about. So call Hans, contact him.
Contact me.
Contact people.
Yeah, people don't call, so don't say call Hans because people won't call. They text, right? So either way, okay?
So Hans is an analog guy, if you guys haven't noticed. We
Yeah.
should do a podcast. Why is Hans an analog guy?
Because I'm not millennial.
He's not millennial.
What do they call a boomer? Okay,
Yeah.
boomer.
Oh yeah. You know what? I'm gonna do a podcast episode just by myself, and I'm gonna do it like, hey everybody, Hans is not here today, but there's some things
I need to
tell you about Hans. That's gonna be a special episode.
Yeah.
But all right, guys, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.
Ahoy! This is really it.